My name is Lucas. I'm 34 years old. And until last year, I thought I had it all. A steady job. A warm house. A golden retriever named Max. And Emma, the woman I built my world around. We were married for 8 years. And together for 10. I loved her like breathing. And then there was Ryan. My best friend since 2nd grade. The guy who taught me to ride a bike, who stood by me at my father's funeral, who held the rings at my wedding. If someone had told me a year ago that those two people, the ones I trusted most, would tear my world apart, I would have laughed. But betrayal never starts with thunder. It starts with silence. Emma and I met in college. She was studying literature. I was in engineering. She always said I looked like someone who'd forget birthdays but remember favorite poems. And she was right. I did. She had this laugh, loud and unfiltered, like it didn't care who was listening. I fell hard. Fast. Ryan met her a few months later. He raised an eyebrow, smirked, and said, "You finally found someone who talks more than you do." The three of us clicked easily. She called him Ree. He called her Trouble. I didn't think much of it. Why would I? We built a life. Emma got a teaching job. I joined a construction firm. Ryan started a fitness studio across town. Every Sunday, we had brunch. Emma cooked. Ryan brought wine. Max sat at our feet, tail wagging. We were a picture of happiness. But pictures don't show the cracks. I noticed small things first. Emma started putting on lipstick just before Ryan came over. She laughed louder at his jokes than mine. Their conversations had inside jokes I didn't understand. One day, I walked in on them laughing in the kitchen. She was wiping something off his shirt. It looked too familiar. They pulled apart quickly. Said nothing. That night, I stared at the ceiling while Emma slept beside me, breathing softly. And for the first time in years, I felt alone in my own bed. I didn't want to believe it. You don't just accuse your wife and your best friend. That's paranoia. That's madness. But the gut knows. And mine was screaming. 3 weeks later, I came home early from work. Max greeted me at the door, tail stiff. No barking. No energy. It was strange. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I walked upstairs and heard voices. Low. Urgent. The door to our bedroom was open an inch. And there they were. Emma. Ryan. Entangled. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. I just stood there, the world moving in slow motion. Ryan looked up first. His face dropped. He froze. Emma turned. Eyes wide. And all she said was, "Lucas." I didn't wait. I turned. Walked out. Got into my truck. Drove. Nowhere. Everywhere. My heart pounded so loud, it drowned out everything else. I ended up in a gas station parking lot 30 miles away. I sat there for hours. Didn't cry. Didn't scream. Just stared at the steering wheel, knuckles white, wondering when my life had stopped being mine. She called. 12 times. I didn't answer. Ryan didn't even try. I slept at my brother's place that night. Told him nothing. Just said I needed a couch. He didn't ask. He didn't need to. He looked at me like he already knew. The next morning, Emma sent a text. "Please. Let's talk. I made a mistake. I love you." A mistake? 10 years of trust. Shattered. And she calls it a mistake. I didn't reply. I couldn't. My hands shook all day. At work. In traffic. Even brushing my teeth. The betrayal wasn't just the act. It was the memory of every smile, every dinner, every lazy Sunday morning, now poisoned. I kept thinking. Was it always there? Did they ever look at me while laughing together and feel guilt? Or was I just blind? I went home 2 days later. She was there, sitting on the couch, crying, face swollen. I stood in the doorway. She looked up. Lucas. I said nothing. She stood up, walked toward me. I stepped back. Her lip trembled. It didn't mean anything. It just happened. We were drinking. It was stupid. I laughed. Loud. Sharp. You don't sleep with someone by accident, Emma. She flinched. I didn't mean to fall for him. That sentence. That was the knife. So it wasn't just a mistake. It was a choice. A repeated, intentional, emotional betrayal. I didn't sleep in the house that night. Just packed a bag and left. Max followed me to the door. I knelt, stroked his fur, whispered, "You don't deserve this either, buddy." And we left. That was the night my marriage died. Not with a fight, but with a truth too loud to ignore. They say grief comes in waves. But mine was a flood. I moved into a one-bedroom rental 2 towns over. Empty walls, dusty floors, a single mattress on the ground. I called it home because I had nowhere else to go. Max curled up beside me every night, head on my chest like he was holding the broken pieces together. It was strange how silence could scream louder than any argument. I kept waiting to wake up from the nightmare. But morning always came. And she was still gone. And he had still done it. For a week, I didn't answer anyone. Not Emma. Not Ryan. Not even my mother, who left voicemails filled with worry and too many prayers. I went to work. Did my job. Came home. Existing, but not living. Then one evening, Emma showed up. I heard a knock at the door. Max growled before I even moved. I opened it halfway. She stood there, soaked in rain, mascara running, holding a Tupperware of lasagna. Seriously? Lasagna? Lucas, please, she whispered. I just want to talk. I let her in. She sat on the floor, like the couch had become too heavy with guilt. I stood by the window, arms crossed. She started crying, not the kind of tears that beg for forgiveness, but the kind that come when someone knows it's already too late. I didn't plan for it to happen, she said. Stop saying that, I snapped. You don't fall into bed with someone by accident. Especially not him. I know, she said, barely audible. But I was lonely. I turned toward her. Angry. Lonely? We shared a bed. A life. We had dinner together last week, and you kissed me like nothing was wrong. She looked away. I didn't think you'd ever find out. That broke me. Not just the betrayal, but the fact she would have carried it forever if she could. What did he say? I asked after a long pause. She looked up, confused. Ryan. What did he say about me after you slept with him? Did he laugh? Did he pretend to feel bad? Her silence was my answer. I shook my head, chest tight. You know what hurts the most? I said, my voice cracking. That he knew everything about me. Everything. And he still did it. She tried to reach for my hand. I stepped back. I loved you, she whispered. No, I said. You loved you. What you did, that wasn't love. She left a few minutes later. Left the lasagna on the table. I threw it in the trash the moment the door shut. Later that night, I sat on the floor, staring at a wedding photo I hadn't had the strength to take down yet. We were laughing. Holding hands. I was looking at her like she hung the moon. What a fool I was. I smashed the frame against the floor. And still, it didn't feel like enough. A few days later, Ryan called. First time in weeks. I stared at the screen, thumb hovering. Then I answered. Lucas. Don't, I said. Let me explain. You don't get to explain. Please, man. I messed up. I know I did. I laughed bitterly. You didn't mess up, Ryan. You chose her. Over me. Over everything we ever had. He went quiet. I thought you were my brother, I said. I would have died for you. I know. Then why? I don't know, his voice cracked. She was there. You were always busy. It started as a joke. Then it wasn't. And I couldn't stop. You could have, I said. You just didn't want to. I hung up. Blocked his number. That was the night I opened a bottle of whiskey and finished it alone. I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the man staring back. Dark circles. Bloodshot eyes. A hollow version of who I used to be. Then came the questions. To myself. Over and over. Was I not enough? Did she ever really love me? How many lies had I swallowed just to keep the peace? I started writing. Not for anyone. Just me. Late at night, when sleep wouldn't come. I wrote everything. The good. The ugly. The things I couldn't say out loud. And slowly, the fog began to lift. I joined a boxing gym. First week, I could barely keep up. Second week, I started hitting harder. By the third, I was punching like I meant it. Every strike against the bag felt like a release. From her. From him. From the version of me that didn't know how to scream. I didn't want revenge. Not exactly. But I did want to stop feeling like the victim in a story someone else wrote. I wanted to take the pen back. A month later, I got a text from Emma. I moved out. I'm staying with my sister. I signed the divorce papers. Simple. Cold. Like she wanted to disappear quietly. And maybe I preferred it that way. But what I didn't expect was the message from Ryan's girlfriend. Yes. His girlfriend. Apparently, she'd existed the whole time too. Her name was Jess. She'd been with him for 3 years. She found out through one of Emma's Instagram photos. Recognized the couch in the background. His couch. She messaged me. I think we've both been played. And that was the moment the narrative changed. From the eyes of Lucas. I met Jess at a little cafe downtown. She walked in with purpose, no makeup, hair in a bun, holding her phone like a weapon. You must be Lucas, she said, sliding into the seat opposite me. I nodded. And you're Jess. She exhaled sharply. So. How long? 10 years, I said. 8 married. Her eyebrows shot up. Jesus. I thought I had it bad. She told me everything. Ryan had been living a double life for 3 years. With her. With Emma. Balancing lies like some sick magician. Jess wasn't broken, though. She was furious. And that was the moment I felt something click inside me. I wasn't alone in this mess. And maybe, just maybe, he was about to learn what betrayal felt like. We came up with a plan. Not out of vengeance, but truth. Cold, clean truth. No shouting. No public scene. Just a mirror. Held directly in front of his face. We invited him to a surprise dinner. Neutral ground. A quiet restaurant we knew he liked. He arrived first. Dressed sharp. Confident smirk. Typical Ryan. Then Jess walked in. Then me. And his whole face changed. He looked at her. Then me. Then Emma, who came last. She hadn't been told either. And that was deliberate. We wanted them both in the same room. To face it. Together. The table was silent. Forks untouched. Air stiff. Jess broke the silence. So, Ryan, how long were you planning to jibble us? He laughed nervously. Jess, what is this? You told me Emma was a client at the gym. That she meant nothing. I cut in. Funny. He told me she meant everything. Enough to ruin a 20-year friendship. Emma sat frozen. Pale. I didn't know about her, she whispered. Jess stared her down. You were the other woman and didn't even know it. Ryan shifted uncomfortably. His charm wasn't working now. Okay, listen, I messed up. I wasn't trying to hurt anyone. Jess leaned in. You hurt everyone. I pulled out my phone. Clicked play. A voice recording, Emma's voice, crying, saying it was more than once. That she didn't mean to fall for him. His face dropped. He looked at her, then at me. You recorded her? Yeah, I said. To remember what betrayal sounds like. He slammed his glass on the table. Lucas, what's your endgame here? I stood up. There's no game. Just wanted to look you in the eye while your lies burned. And I walked out. That night, I felt something shift. Like I'd shed a version of myself I no longer needed. I didn't need revenge. Just the truth. And I finally had it. Weeks passed. Jess and I stayed in touch. Not romantically, we were two people who survived the same fire. And sometimes, that's all you need. Emma moved out of state. No goodbye. No closure. Just distance. And honestly, I welcomed it. But healing didn't happen overnight. There were days I still woke up angry. Still played old conversations in my head like a broken record. But those days became rarer. And quieter. I rebuilt my life, one habit at a time. Early mornings. Gym sessions that left me drenched. Walks with Max at sunrise. New job. New apartment. No more shared closets or ghosted memories in the walls. I even started dating again. Slowly. Carefully. And one night, months later, I stood on a balcony with someone kind, someone real, and I laughed. Not out of pain. Not from irony. Just joy. And I realized I wasn't broken anymore. I didn't need to forget Emma or Ryan. They were part of the story. But they weren't the whole book. I had chapters left to write. On my terms. So if you're hearing this, maybe you've been lied to. Maybe your world just shattered. Maybe you think it's over. But it's not. It's the beginning of who you'll become. Don't let the betrayal define you. Let it refine you. You're not the pain they caused. You're the strength that came next.